Do you have an interest in video games, 3D printing, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence? On this episode of Well, That's Interesting, I'm sitting down with Christian Quan Kep, a lifelong friend, technologist, and self confessed deep diver into anything that sparks his curiosity. We talk about how a childhood Nintendo sparked a lifelong passion for technology, why gaming teaches problem solving and critical thinking, and where innovation starts to become, well, a little risky. From AI ethics to virtual worlds, hobby projects to real world impact, this is a conversation about curiosity, control, and how technology is shaping the way we live. Let's get into it. Today I'm chatting with a guy I've known probably like three-quarters of my life. His name is Christian Quan Kep, and he is a brother from another mother, as they would say. We've been good friends for, I don't know, how long, Christian?
I'm gonna go 25, 30 years.
30 years, something like that, right? So he knows quite a bit about me, but thankfully, the conversation is not going to be about me. It's going to be about all of the great things he has been up to in his life.
You say great things, but it's things. It's not random. It's interesting for
Yes.
sure. Because why would we continue just existing without making things better for yourself and people around you? Like that's something you should always do. Less on that, but more on what I do. So let's see. So ever since I was maybe like 8, 7, I went to Venezuela. Yeah, with my dad and my aunts. And coming back, I saw a father and his son in the airport. Coming back to Trinidad. And the father and son had a Nintendo video game system, right? And I was like, Dad, look at this. This guy bought a Nintendo from Venezuela to Trinidad with his son, and he's going to put it through that extra machine. Is something going to happen to it? Right? And my dad was like, No, 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 it's okay. Don't worry about that. Anyway, so I went home and I was a Nintendo. Holy smokes. What is that? Okay, so that's kind of how like I got interested in technology and games and stuff. To be honest, like in primary school, we just did like work and math and science and English and whatever. But I didn't really know like where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. And I guess like this little experience kind of opened my eyes to what I may like. Anyhow,
Mhm.
so I pestered my dad continuously. I want a Nintendo. I want a Nintendo. I want a Nintendo. I want a Nintendo. I never thought it would happen, but that Christmas I did get a Nintendo. It's
Excellent.
strange. It's strange, right? Like fathers do kind of listen, even though you think they don't at sometimes. Well,
Yeah.
but yeah. So like that's like a small mini story, I guess. I have many stories, right?
Yeah.
Many stories. Everything I do actually has a story behind it because it's, as I said, it's not just random things. It may seem like random things because I mention it, in passing and different things, but it's not random at all.
Right.
So, interesting stuff, right? So Shane had mentioned like I have a bunch of hobbies. I have a bunch of hobbies, and the reason why I have a bunch of hobbies is because I have a bunch of time, right?
Well,
I
aren't you
would,
lucky?
I Shane, I don't have kids, right? So I'm sorry for those guys. Those guys occupy 24/7 trying to
Mm-hmm.
get their little ones everywhere and
Mm-hmm.
protect them and help them and all these sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, sorry guys. My hobbies. I touch a little bit on everything. I want to say I'm a jack of all trades, but that usually comes with being a master of none, which which for me is not the way, right? Like anything I try to get into, I go deep into it, not to talk about it or not to guide anyone, but it's just how I do things. everything I do, I have to go deep into it and explore as much as I can. Yeah, so that's where the jack of all trades come true. So computers, cars, technology, 3D printing, virtual reality.
The 3D printing, definitely, I wanna find out more about that. And truth be told, this is the first time I'm hearing you talking about the VR, the virtual reality. So we're definitely going to talk about that, which is where I jump in with my tagline. Well, that's interesting. So before we get there, I want to go back to the Nintendo. You would have told me a version of the story many, many years ago, but I want to know what was the first game you remembered playing on the Nintendo?
So those days there were not many games, right? The only game that came with that system originally is Super Mario Brothers and the Duck Hunt. It's basically one cartridge. And those Nintendo games were extremely hard as well, right?
Hmm.
Like I cannot imagine why kids would want to play this because as a kid, you have a bunch of dexterity, you have a bunch of curiosity, you have a bunch of just whatever you get your hands on, you're gonna play with, right?
Hmm.
And this one game I played Christmas into New Year's into February, right? I just played this like all day, all day and all night. And it's weird because what you learn
Yeah.
having like no experience from doing anything like this, you learn so much, dude.
Hmm.
Right? You start to like coordinate your vision with your hands. You start to like think, how am I going to get to that area safely?
Yeah.
You start to understand the mechanics of what these programmers have made and how are you going to conquer it? That's like the main thing, right? Like the challenge of a game
Hmm.
is what draws you in.
Hmm.
So whilst there is more casual walk around games and stuff, like challenging hard games are what I grew up with.
Yeah.
And it also sort of trained my mind a bit too, because it's a challenge, right? It's a challenge. One, it's a puzzle. Yeah, it just pulls you in more than a movie or something else would. Is more interactive.
So I've always wondered, and I'm not into gaming as deep as you have been over the years, to get from one point of the game safely and not lose your lives, do the developers, from your knowledge or from your experience, do they allow you two paths, or is it just one path you have to figure out, or are there multiple ways you can progress that
Yes,
they've built into it?
yes. So there's okay. So in terms of game design, which is kind of what you're asking me,
Hmm.
um, so I'm a developer, but and I did some game theory and whatnot, but in terms of game design and level design, right? You have linear paths and you have more complex paths. But the
Hmm.
objective is to get there using your wit and intuition and whatnot, right? So
Hmm.
in Super Mario Brothers, it's a linear path, right? You play stage one, you use your finger dexterity and
Hmm.
speed and whatever, and you get through that stage, right? You avoid obstacles, you pass obstacles, you get power ups, and you finish that stage. Other games are less linear, right? Where let's say for example open world games, let's take Grand Theft Auto, right? Which is a famous open world game, a game where you basically get to choose where you want to go. Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings online is the same type of concept, right? Like it's an open world game where you get to choose which path or which side quests or which main missions you want to go to, right?
Hmm.
I would say that in my case, I've always preferred linear games, I guess.
Hmm.
And the reason is like I want to get from here A to D, right?
Hmm.
I rather pass through B and C.
Hmm.
But there are some guys who would be like, well, I don't really care how I get to D, right?
Hmm.
I want to go from A to C. Okay. I want to go from A to B. I want to go from straight to A to D. So some guys prefer like that progression. Um, but I've always felt like if I design an experience for you, then I'm gonna take you where I want to take you.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, so in terms of what you were asking, how they would design a game to get you to that point, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
It's up to the author, I guess. It's up to the artist and their direction.
I wonder if your early interactions with gaming um fueled your passion for technology and also helped you become a developer.
Yeah. So here's the thing. In our time, there wasn't much paths, right? I'll be honest. So
Mhm.
from what I saw in our schools, teachers and adults and everyone would offer you the world, but there are certain parts that we took, right? Like
Mhm.
from what I see, there were a lot of teachers coming out of our classes. There were a lot of engineers. There were very few technologists in terms
Mhm.
of computers and stuff, but there were engineers. That's the thing, right? And then
Yeah.
there were some lawyers. Yeah, so I guess from in my experience, yeah, these video games did get me exactly where I was meant to be. Yeah.
I didn't take the same path as you did. In high school, I was more of a humanities guy, but that didn't stop me, for instance, being interested because most of you guys were interested in technology. You were interested in computers and programs. And my first real introduction to that area would have been through you guys in school. How has technology evolved, in your opinion?
So I guess I was lucky in that like I know where I wanted to go. I will say like a lot of people didn't have that vision yet. Sorry.
Hmm.
I don't think they had that vision.
Hmm.
Because dude, I knew it from high school. I knew what I wanted, and I tried to get there, even though there were things in my way. Now, everyone uses technology for everything. So the adoption of technology in your life and where you want to go and what you want to do, you use all of these things now. So it is easier. It's not an impediment in anything, to be honest. You use it daily in any job. Use it to help you do your job basically better,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? You use the internet, you have your phone, use communications. Communications are based on networks. Networks are based on the internet. Is based on fiber optic. Is based on you know telephone wires, hard wires, and everything, right? So now is easy for anybody, for people in school and to use technology to do anything. So any field you go in, I'm pretty sure is going to be rich in technology, even if it is trades or even though it is humanities or even though it is business. Businesses do have applications, they do have processes that use technology to make it more efficient, right? Like my sister, she did mostly business in school, like my older sister. And in some of her courses, she had to ask me, right? Like, how does information technology help us make decisions, right? Easily. It collects your data, structures it, it puts it somewhere where you can access, and from that now you derive value. You see
Hmm.
how your business is running, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, so now it's everywhere. And what happened is that the guys like us who were in it before actually luckily came out of this with something to talk about. I guess we were lucky. That's what I mean. Like we were lucky.
Yeah. But you've had interaction, like you work with artificial intelligence technologies as a developer. And where do you see it going, that aspect of technology?
I don't want to see it going anywhere. It's too risky because okay, so usage of it right now is helpful in that currently we have generative AI technologies, right? And this generative AI is trained on varying sets of data depending on what the purpose of it is. So image generators would be able to pull together pieces of art from all over. once you've explained what you want and is able to use pattern recognition and its vast database of what is out there and create something for you. Now, what's out there may or may not be trademarked. It may have belonged to some artist. So in this case, what you're trying to tell me is that I can use all the works of people for free. I can take all of it. It doesn't belong to me, but I can create something out of all of that. So that's what I mean risky. In that there are a lot of things to think about. There are a lot of ethical considerations when you're releasing technology like this. It's not just images, it's also work, right? It's also people's work as well that it learns on. So, and there's no rules right now that says, or there's, like Sam isn't going to say, I've only trained my AI on public information in the domain, right? In public domain, right?
Yeah.
He isn't going to do that. He's going to use any and every bit of information he can get his hand on. Same thing with Elon Musk. He's going to take all of that driving data from all of those Tesla, millions of people, and he's going to use that information now to figure out routes and who's taking what and what's popular and what's not, right? Even listening on conversations, come on, right? Imagine all this data we have out there right now, and these business leaders are going to take this technology and they're going to use it for commercial purposes.
Sorry. And by Sam, you mean Sam Altman, right? The founder of ChatGPT.
Yeah, of OpenAI. So
OpenAI, right?
yes. So, okay. Technology itself is good. It's a usage of it that needs to be regulated a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we have no regulations on AI, or very little. So whilst I think this technology is great, great, we just need to kind of reel it in a bit and, put some rules on there that protects work, that ensures the information is accurate, that, it doesn't tell you to do things, I guess,
Yeah.
because people are just going to believe whatever they hear. So that's what I mean.
I think my concern with it would be the type of data that it was trained on and how biased that data, and not only biased, like what percentage of disinformation was included in that data so that the generations or the output is then influenced by those, you know, data points that may have been skewed to begin with, right? The other thing is I have a problem with the degeneration of critical thinking skills in the population. So there are two main issues there for me personally, as someone who interacts with AI technologies every day.
Yeah, yeah, I can see those things happening. The more you use technology is and become more reliant on it is less critical thinking you may have, right? Is less work that you do, right? It's meant to help you.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I guess you kind of have to be able to just like any technology, you kind of have to be able to use it properly, I
Properly,
guess.
definitely. The other hobby that you're involved in and that I'm very interested in learning more about is 3D printing. Does 3D printing use artificial intelligence in its process?
It doesn't, but here's the thing. Generative AI can generate 3D models. So that's the
Right.
thing. So 3D printing is basically a 3D model that has uh, dimensions, size, width, height, right? And what your 3D printer is going to do is going to take this model. It has an X, Y, and Z axis. And because the model has all of those dimensions as well, it's able to melt a bit of plastic and one by one, layer by layer, from the lowest layer up, it's going to try to build this 3D model into a real object.
Mm,
That's in a nutshell what 3D printing is. Now, in order to get something printed, you first, as I said, need a 3D model designed. There are applications. There's free CAD, computer aided design applications online. I use one called Tinker CAD. So Tinkercad basically provides you those 3D shapes. Let's say like squares and spheres and cubes and rings and different shapes, basically, right? So you can go online to tinkercad.com and play with the online 3D editor, basically, and you can create little structures.
How did you get involved in this in the first place? Like, what inspired you to get into 3D printing? It's such a foreign, well, you are in Canada, but here in Trinidad, it's a foreign concept, I would think. I know recently one company was trying to import a 3D printing machine into the country, and they had to go through a lot of red tape. So it's not something that is widespread here in Trinidad, but I guess those things are kind of lax and not as regulated in Canada.
I heard that there were 3D models of guns.
Maybe somebody did get the opportunity to smuggle a printer in, but this guy had a legitimate business and he was going through the legitimate channels of customs and the police and national security and trade and all these ministries at the time. There was a lot of red tape for him, but when you smuggle things in, no red tape at all.
Okay, so I'm not talking about anything illegal and any no, I'm not talking about any of those things. I'm just saying that I heard, about this 3D printing technology, and I also heard that people can make 3D guns. Okay, so I was curious, and
About
I
the
was like,
gun?
about gun parts, right? And I,
So,
hold on,
so,
hold on. You are thinking way beyond what I am thinking. So
okay.
I play a lot of games. Games have guns in it, and you shoot stuff. So I wanted to make a prop. Ah,
Right,
see
a
where I'm
prop.
going here. See where
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going. So I want to make a prop. So I was playing like a game called Destiny, and Destiny has lots of guns. And I saw this guy 3D print like a prop gun and stuff. Okay, not real stuff. That's illegal. Don't do that. Um, and yeah, no. So I also work in a university, and I started to look at courses on 3D printing. And I found that we actually have a 3D printing lab in one of the schools in the university. And I wanted to take a course to see how you can design stuff and get it to prototype and print it. So I started to look at their website and figure out you can actually rent time on some of these 3D printers. So you basically would have a thumb drive, you would put your 3D model in it, and then you would go to that lab, and then you would have time on that printer to print prototypes to test your model. So I was like, okay, cool. So the interest is there. Now, how am I going to make these models? No idea. In engineering, like I heard people do computer aided design. I did none of that, right? So I needed something simple. So that's why I went online to see what is the easiest prototyping tool that I can use. So I do like very minor art and stuff. Like if we have to build some little menu, right? Some little style, like I can build it. Okay, I've used Photoshop. I can do little things, and then I can take those images and bring it into code, and then create that little box and stuff
Mhm.
on my website. But anyway, so Tinkercad, it's very simple. If you wanted to try a 3D print, you can go on Tinkercad and you can like create little cylinders and little squares and build something. First thing I 3D printed was using someone else's design. So what you can also do is go to printables.com, and there's tons of designs that people have already done. So toothbrush holders. Okay. So like simple things like phone holders,
Mhm.
little things, right? Stands, like little tiny stands for figurines, or just these little functional things, right? And you can download them. So printables.com, there's like a site called makerworld.com. Like they have tons of models that you can just download. Cool. So we have the interest, we have how we're gonna get the models, free models for now. Now we have to figure out the printer. So you're right, being in Canada, you know, these printers are available all over, right?
Mhm.
In Trinidad, what you would do is you would bring down a 3D printer,
Right.
and 3D printers need these reels of plastic filament. So you need a 3D printer, you need filament. There are varying types of filaments. There are engineering filaments. That's plastic filaments infused with carbon fiber or nylon. There's more easily printable filaments, like it's called PLA. I don't know the actual scientific name for PLA, but that's just what it's called. PETG is another type of filament as well that you can print in these cheap printers, basically, right? So yeah, so you would find a 3D printer that is affordable, that can print those filaments we just spoke about. Then you would put it on your thumb drive, you would stick your little thumb drive into that 3D printer, and yeah, and the 3D printer would just print it once you've set it up to do so.
What's your
And
success rate with your printing?
depends, right? So some printers have very good success rates. My printer does not. My printer is okay. So how I do my prints is how I do everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Hard.
Mm-hmm.
Go hard, dude, right? So I don't like things that just work. I have to tinker with it
Mm-hmm.
because like I like my stuff exactly how I like my stuff. Okay?
Right.
Okay?
Right.
I'm
Understood.
not going to buy a I'm not going to buy a car and just leave it. I am going to modify the heck out of it. I'm going to put music. I like my thing a
Definitely.
certain way. I like my
Yes.
coffee a certain way, okay?
Who drinks coffee
Everyone except you.
except
So,
me?
yeah, so people like sugar, people like milk, people like flavors. Think Starbucks, right? People like those kind of things. Anyway, so my 3D printing experience has been long and hard, and out of 10 prints, like, so I've got it up. I've definitely got it up. There's some prints that all failed. Like I did like 10 prototypes, all failed.
Mm-hmm.
But you learn something from each print, right? Like you would learn
Mm-hmm.
how to orient it so that it's strong. You would
Mm-hmm.
learn how much plastic to put to fill it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not printing like solid objects. You're actually printing the outside of the object, but inside is partially filled,
Yes.
right? Because the structure inside it gives it strength. It doesn't need to be a solid, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of things you learn in order to get that print to succeed. And it also depends on the object itself. Like, for example, one of the things I printed recently was these wheel center caps for my wheels on my car, right? So
Mm-hmm.
these wheels have prongs, right? That has to stick into the wheel itself. This cap, sorry, has prongs that has to go into the wheel itself. So those prongs now have to be a certain size because they have to fit the lip of the center of the wheel, and then it has to click in place.
Yes.
Okay. So the overall, so you have to take a lot of things in account. Like if you're going to design a wheel center cap, it's simple because it's a circle, it's a shape, it's a circle, but
Mm-hmm.
it has to be a certain diameter, right? Prongs
Mm-hmm.
itself has to be a little bit,
Flexible,
it has to be flexible, yes.
but
So,
strong.
but strong, yeah. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things you have to think about if you're going to design something like this for a functional print. Oh, and another popular thing that people print is like these little holders, like these little holders to put stuff in. So you want to put all your pencils, you want to put a little
Mm-hmm.
plant in it, you want to put your little controller in it. Also, these little things, people design these vases and all of these little things, and they use it to just organize their desks and whatnot. Um,
Question.
mhm.
I'm thinking if I have a complex object to make out of different parts, I guess you're printing the different parts separately. It wouldn't print the entire object. Is there a way for the two parts to be fused?
So your printer has a bed size. So there's some printers with larger bed size, but I think like my printer has like 220 centimeters by 220 centimeters, I think, is the size of my bed. Um, yeah, I think that's the size. But yeah, so you can print the individual parts, then you would put it together because you want to test each part, right? Like you are size limited, so you have to build one piece onto another piece onto the other piece. If you want to attach them together, you can do it through different means. Like you can make it so that one clips into the other. You can use crazy glue to stick parts with two flat surfaces, right? But to get strength, there's different ways to design it so that it clips on and has the most strength.
Hmm.
It depends on the print, right? Like if it's a functional print, then yeah, then you would definitely want that. If it's like a costume or a prop gun, you know, you can just stick them together, right? It's not functional.
Have you made the gun?
For the FBI listening, no, I have not.
It's gonna be, I guess you could you could paint the models after. Like, have you gotten to that point where, or does it print in color? That's, I guess, my question. Does it print in color, or do you have to then go and customize it with, colors and
Yeah,
shades and tints and stuff?
yeah. So I should have explained. So the actual filament or plastic that you're using
Mm,
to for the printer to melt and form whatever shape,
yeah.
those do come in different colors:
Mm,
red, blue, black, whatever color you want it has.
mm,
Um, and they also have like multicolored filament too, so you can make like
mm.
rainbow lizards and parrots and whatever your heart content with, right? But the printer has to kind of support this multicolor printing.
Yeah.
Else you would have to print like a piece, stop, change filament, print that other piece in color, stop, change back filament, print the other piece in the other color. So yeah, colors your printer has to support the multicolor type prints to get it easily. So yeah, all of these things like 3D printing, 3D. You seeing some sort of pattern here? Like
Yeah, I mean, the pattern is you like these very complex, complicated hobbies. You really have a lot of time on your hands.
I just like pain.
You just like pain, right? So
Yeah.
you just like pain. So talking about pain, you are an avid gamer, and if I log on to Discord at around 9:30 in the night, you would have already lost 3 games in Dota and probably one game.
I used to be an avid gamer, sir. I am now older, mature, wiser, and cuter. So therefore, I am no longer an avid gamer. I am just a gamer
Just
casually.
with a bedtime of 10:30 p.m.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yes, because we're getting older. Like we can't stay up all hours in the morning playing game like we used to many,
And
many,
then go
many years ago.
and then go to classes 8 a.m. Yeah, no. So that's not something you should do. And also like we listen, I don't even want to do that. Like I don't even want to go back to those days at all. I just want to get in something with some of my friends, just spend a little bit of time.
Mm,
There are periods where I stop completely. So
mm,
I know that this sounds like cocaine, but it's not. I can stop at any time.
right.
Okay.
Do you think it's a very toxic space now?
I think the world is a toxic place, I guess.
Mm,
Everyone is looking for some sort of escape, right? And a lot of gamers do it because of that. So there are people who work all day and this is how I would compare it, right? There are people who work all day and they prefer to relax with a cold beer and watch television and stuff, right? For gamers, a little bit different, right? After a long day, you come home and you face more pain. After a long day,
yeah,
you don't come home and rest. You come home and you just take more. So yeah, I would say gamers are mostly toxic. The scene, especially in all these Call of Duties and Fortnites and competitive type
mm,
games, it's kind of what it breeds, right? Like, what else? What else what are you looking for, right? I guess those guys are looking for challenges too. Yeah, but from what I see, you kind of want to get in I guess, your section, or you want to find your space.
yeah,
And if you are comfortable and it brings you joy and it takes you away from your reality and it makes you happy, then by all means, that's what
yeah.
these things are for. They kind of escape reality a bit, right?
I
Um,
agree. I agree that we need escapism in this day and age. And even if you're a mobile gamer, do you think that that is considered gaming? Or do you have to be in front of a controller or in front of a laptop? Can a mobile gamer be a gamer? Can somebody who plays Dungeons and Dragons or even, collect Pokemon cards or plays Yu-Gi-Oh? you consider all of that gaming, or is it like a very specific definition in your mind that is accepted?
No. Anybody can game on any device, in any place, at any time, of any age, with anyone else. Is all inclusive to me. Is
Mhm.
an all inclusive term. Gamers
Mhm.
on a whole is they're literally just consuming some content like anyone else. Is like how you like watching movies or
Mhm.
you would like reading books. It's the
Mhm.
same concept. We like playing games.
Yeah. I enjoy looking at you guys play rather than be in the game because I don't have the time to commit to it. So I'd rather look at what you guys are doing and learn from it in that way without having to be actively in the match when you're playing Dota.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. I guess that kind of ties in with why I do what I do, right? Like I like to do things. So I I hate to watch without participating.
Hmm.
Um, but there are other people who enjoy less hands-on, I guess, but they do get enjoyment out of seeing that action or seeing
Hmm.
whatever be done, right? Like they do
Yeah.
feel a part of it. It's just that like I feel more involved, I guess. I feel
Hmm.
more in this world if I do things myself. So it could be anything. I would I would just jump in. Like I would just do things. Some people are afraid to try new things. Like some people are deathly afraid of yeah, no. No, I'm not afraid to just jump in. That water might be rough. It
Hmm.
looks certainly so, but how you navigate it and how you figure stuff out to me is the joy and passion.
But I think from my experience, there are just some games you just can't be casual. Like the community doesn't allow you to just be casual with it. They insist that you are active, they insist that you are ranked, they insist that you know the mechanics of the game inside out. So for some people who may want to experience it, jumping into a community with more experienced players, and sometimes the games themselves don't match you up fairly. They match you with, advanced level players sometimes. So it becomes a hindrance where I want to play casually, I want to play on my own time. I may not do everything, but there's some 11-year-old screaming at you for making a mistake. And I've had that experience before with Clash of Clans. And I'm like, that takes away the joy from it, you know?
Right. It's but that's not you. That that's the thing. Is that's not you. Like you are doing and playing and participating how you see fit. If someone listen, you Shane, you cannot control what other people think. You cannot control what other people do. You can only control what you do. If anyone in the community or whichever community it is wants to pull you up for whatever, they are free to do so. And you are also free to leave and create your own community and do stuff differently. It has enough space for everybody to do it.
That is very encouraging to hear. And I think that's a message people who are interested or want to get into gaming, that's a message that, they should take away from this conversation. You know, you can do it at your own pace. There is a space for you to enjoy yourself, to have that escapism, to act out a fantasy, whatever it is, there's always a place for you somewhere.
Yeah, as I said, you play what you like. It doesn't have to be the newest. It doesn't have to be paid. It can be free. Um, yeah, and just whatever you enjoy.
Have you ever tried translating all of these technical and technological and mechanical skills? Because you said you want to customize your car. Have you ever
Oh,
translated it into something other than hobbies?
okay. So let me just give you a breakdown of what you what. So I talk to you like personally
Mm.
various times, right? And I do tons of little small projects and hobbies and stuff throughout the year. So one of the things I built a new PC. I was looking to create this little stat screen that tells you like the temperature of your processor, video card, motherboard, all those things. So it gives you updated information, and it's a little tiny little screen, right? So that's is a little Arduino micro PC. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little thing with a screen that you can program and pull all of sensor data. That's one do-it-yourself project I started to do. Maybe like 50% through. All these little 3D printing projects I do throughout the year. Couple other things, as you said, like I do my own car maintenance, change oil, change filters, fluids, install parts, change tires, all of these things, build custom mounts for like phones and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I did like built like shelves, uh, built LED lights for the room. I do a little bit of crypto. I do a little bit of like everything, electronics. Yeah, a lot of fixing, right? So yeah, so back to your question.
Do you want me to repeat the question?
Please do.
Have you translated these hobbies into a business of any sort? Have you
Business.
monetized? Have you monetized these skills? Is what I'm asking, sir.
I did one, right? So I installed a dash cam for someone, and it was a paid job, right? Um, Dashcam install and music installs and stuff pretty straightforward once you know how to wire things, I guess, in a car and not blow up flute fuses, right? And well, you have to be able to like take stuff apart, right? Interior
Mm,
components and run connections from fuse box or some other place, right? So
right.
yeah, so I did take this commercially, this skill. I would love to say it turned out fantastic, but it didn't. Okay, so when you're doing things like these, right? You have three ways you can do it. Okay,
Mm,
you can one do it properly. You can two do it hacky, or you
right.
can three do it in between. Just the right
Mm,
mix of proper with hack, right?
yeah.
Right. So for a client, like I would recommend the proper way. I
Yeah.
would say get a dash cam that fully integrates with the windscreen of the car, for example, right? Like there are dash cams that are made specifically for certain cars.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are a car owner, I would, and it's available to you, I would say go that route. Because then
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to run a bunch of cables from fuse boxes and whatnot. You can just connect it to available connections on the car itself and
Mm-hmm.
easy. Okay, so you
Mm-hmm.
pay $200, get it
Mm-hmm.
done. For this guy, I had to run his dash cam and hide it through the headliner all the way down to the A pillar, all the way into the dash, right? However, it connected to a USB port under the radio. So it literally is connected to a USB port, right? So if you want to take it out, you can just pull out that thing, right? But the
Right.
wire is mostly hidden and it just comes out close to that port, right? So
Right.
that's what I mean. Like that's a mix between one doing it properly and two
Mm,
not totally hacky, right? Like
yeah.
that's what I end up doing. So to me it was okay, but it wasn't the best that I've done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Will you be doing more?
okay, so what I would do is maybe be more selective on the product that I would
Mm-hmm.
be using
Mm-hmm.
so that the end experience for the customer is really good. In
Mm-hmm.
other words, I would suggest what product you use versus you just taking whatever you find.
Yeah.
Like I can install music, change whatever you radio and stuff in a RAV4 because I do have one. So most of them are built the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So I can change a radio, I can add speakers, I can upgrade those things pretty easily. So yeah, so I would probably do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember like bringing my computer by you a couple times to fix. Yeah, we would spend the whole day fixing computers.
well, Shane, I can fix computers. Thanks, thanks for that. Jeez, I built these things for more decades than I can recall. Yeah, no. I've built these things for a long time.
Yeah.
I do enjoy it. I love new parts. I think that's my problem. I think that's my problem.
You like the new parts.
I just like new stuff.
You like new parts smell.
Yeah, that has to be it. So one, so I went by my cousin, and he was, he's checking on my car, and he says, "Holy smokes! How long did you buy this car?" I was like, 2 years now. Oh my gosh, dude, it still has a new car smell. What are you even doing? I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't drive it. I just have it. I
And that
just
makes
have it.
sense, right? That makes sense. That makes sense. To just have it there and just keep customizing it until it's no longer recognizable,
Yeah,
is it? Yeah.
yes. That's kind of what I do.
Because you're putting like 3D printed caps on the wheel, which I guess, isn't at manufacturer's design
Nope.
quality and stuff.
And I add LED lights to different parts of the interior so that it
Yeah.
looks like a disco room.
Right.
It looks like the inside of my computer. Yes. Dude, listen. If you have hobbies, I understand where you're coming from. Like, use these hobbies to help people and try to make some money. And yeah, I would advise any young entrepreneur to do that, right?
Without losing your love for the hobby, because sometimes people just they get sucked into it and it becomes something they dislike totally. Like you need to still have that balance between wanting to do it for a passion and still also, well, okay, I can make some money because I've been in this for so many years and people would value the expertise and experience that I bring to a job, and they'll value, the fact that I know more about it than they do, and I could help them understand it, or just do something for them based on my knowledge.
Yeah, fully agree.
Yeah.
Fully agree. Like, every single time I finish some project, um, having gone down that rabbit hole, I can definitely advise you on pitfalls, I guess, all the different directions that you would have to take, and it would
Hmm.
kind of help you have a easier time, I guess. Have a better
Hmm.
experience.
And
Yeah,
that's what consulting really is. You already know the mistakes to avoid, so that because you learned from maybe making those mistakes yourself, you're now able to steer people on the right path so they don't have to make those mistakes, which could have been costly and timely for you. You're saving them time and money by setting them on the right path right away. And that's what people pay for. They pay for that knowledge to
yeah,
get it right the first time, definitely. So tell me about the virtual reality technology that you're dabbling in and what sort of gear do you need for that?
sure. So here's the thing. I am not the best guy for this topic. Um,
Okay.
and it's like any other thing that I do, I try to go as deep as I can. There are some things that I can't see. So I'll give you an example. So there are virtual reality headsets and there are virtual reality games and there are 3D movies. Like you've gone to see movies in 3D before, right? And you use a little glasses or goggles, right? That basically allows you to interpret a 3D scene from a 2D movie. Okay. Virtual reality headsets work in a very similar way where there are tiny computers in goggles and they put two images in each side of those goggles, right? And these images are offset by just a little bit, just like how your eyes work. So in the
Hmm.
real world, like your eyes are offset just a tiny bit, and then your brain sort of interprets what it sees. So in a 3D goggles that you're going to buy to look at 3D content and play 3D games, VR, right, is going to work the same way, right? It's going to present each eye with an image that's very slightly off. And then your brain is going to look at those images and is going to take those images and then your brain is going to interpret it as with some depth in there. They call it
Mm,
like they call it stereoscopic depth, right?
mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how you're gonna see 3D in these goggles.
Yeah.
So in VR games, there's a lot of there's a lot of cues as well, right? Like if you're looking at something from a distance, it looks bigger as you're closer, but then as it goes out, it looks
Mm,
smaller,
yeah.
right? So that's like a 3D cue, right?
Mm,
Also, there's other cues like shadows. So when you see a shadow of something, it kind of gives you depth. Like this thing is in this world, right? It has depth, right? Shadows give you that example. There's other little cues called parallax. Parallax is basically objects in the foreground moving against a background. So you see those two things. You see objects in the foreground and you see a background. And because it moves, you kind of interpret motion and where it's at. So basically, in a virtual reality headset, all these things are simulated because 3D games have these things, right? They have 3D objects, they have that distance, they're big or small, they have shadows. All of these things come together to kind of present you with that 3D virtual reality image. And your brain is just going to take it and be like, wow, I am in here.
mm.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Are we in a simulation like those virtual reality worlds you're talking about?
Philosophically, yes. Objectively, we can't tell, unfortunately, but every single action that we have, that we take,
Mm,
you do know it is already. This is not VR, okay?
yeah,
every action you have taken is taken. Do you
yeah,
know that? Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, no, I can't tell you. I won't be able to.
I would think what we are simulating in those virtual reality environments, it's not so much different from our reality. We are 3D, we interact with a 3D world, and we are creating these simulated environments of the same type. So, what is to say that we get to the point where the characters in that world are one day part of a large scale reality that's created by us. So then in a respect, we become creators of this new reality. What is to say didn't happen to us as well? I'm thinking these are the small beginnings of, that sort of mirror effect as we go along in our advancement with technology.
Well, let's give AI some more power to generate these worlds, and let's put some guys in there to live. So therefore, you would be in a very similar world, I guess.
And the thing is, there are people who are willing to live in those worlds exclusively. Isn't that the case?
Stop. Stop what you were saying.
No, I'm serious. I am
This is a
serious.
family-friendly podcast.
But
We
I'm
do not we do not do that here.
so what is so if my understanding of what Mark Zuckerberg is trying to do with his metaverse isn't that it? He wants you to live in a Facebook virtual reality where you interact with your friends virtually. And I know that there are some people so wired into their social media experiences, it's going to be very hard for them to leave that.
It's less
Mm,
about what you want to do and it's more about what he wants you to do.
mm,
Okay? If you're gonna use all of these products and services from whomever,
mm,
yeah, that's the literal catch.
yeah.
Okay? So something may be wrong with your world. Everyone has stuff to deal with and their lives and whatnot.
Yeah.
For the guys who are able to do that, I don't know, Shane, it might be better for them. I wouldn't use that service. Like, so I
Mm,
can't, I, I could speculate. Yeah, people would
mm,
definitely do it.
mm-hmm.
Is it something to dread? No. Like any technology, it was available and it serves a purpose for you. You do it, try it.
Definitely.
Um,
I think the conversation has come full circle. because we started off talking about the benefits of technology, and we're back to that. But
I did specify
from,
risks of technology as well.
yeah, yeah, you did.
Um,
And this is a risk. This is a risk because I think we've seen so many examples of people disassociate with reality that if you give them something where all of their worldview aligns perfectly for them, they would,
yep.
rather than accept the hard truth of our reality where they may be wrong, they may quicker escape into somewhere where they are right 100% of the time. And I think we have a lot of people in the world with that problem where
Yeah.
they cannot accept the reality they are in.
And we have other spaces as well that also perpetuate that same thing.
We're not naming names for
No,
obvious
of course
reasons,
not.
but
But
those could be the first set of people who become part of a simulation under these techno overlords.
I have
So,
to be wrong type of technologist because I don't like that idea at all.
well, definitely not. I mean, we have lived in a world prior to large scale technological advancements, right? We lived in a world where times were simpler. We encountered computers, we encountered software, we encountered the internet at a phased pace. And we learned along the way how to moderate ourselves. We had limitations. So the generations that are coming up with, even the new generations right now, they have just jumped head on in. Well, I wouldn't even say they jumped in. They were born into it. So they
Into
don't
it.
know, yeah, they
Yes.
don't know what came before and how to
Yes.
moderate, how to like disconnect themselves, from the technology. So
Yep.
they will be willing participants in that world because they are spending so much time in that online environment. And the day they see their friends being turned into avatars, hey, I want to be an avatar as well and escape from
Yes.
whatever personal problems I'm facing, whatever. However I look, I could tailor my look in that environment so that if I have problems with how I look in real, I don't have to worry about that again. I'm living there 100% of the time.
Did we not
Yeah.
get a taste of this during COVID? Was that was that world something we want to return to? No. I mean, some of us still do it, I guess. I work from home quite a lot, but I do appreciate having to get out. Like that's the thing. Like you have to kind of know you're right. Like you have to know the pitfalls of what you are doing and not just accept what Mark Zuckerberg, Sam Altman, and Elon Musk is saying to you. We were back to critical thinking.
Exactly, exactly. We're back to that. But these guys have so much influence,
That's
and
right. Yes. Correct.
it's it's a cautionary tale. Wally, the animated movie, was a cautionary tale. I mean, there's so many others as well. I have to re-look at Altered Carbon and all of these dystopian future movies. But if our heads are continuously down in our phones, we're gonna miss what's happening to the planet. We could actually lose the planet and not even be aware.